Good morning. Welcome to Rooted and Relevant, and I am excited about today. I'm going to be finishing my honey-do list of our pavers out front that my wife has me installing, and so we're excited about uh, getting that project done. And I hope that you have a profitable day planned today and that you are anticipating an opportunity to serve the Lord. Well, I want to jump right into yesterday. The Supreme Court ruled that President Trump has the authority to dismantle the Department of Education. This is not an attack on education. This is not a lowering the priority of teaching children. This is not a decision that says that education is substandard in the priority of America. None of that is true. What it is saying is that the government has assumed responsibility for something that was given to parents. And so in Deuteronomy chapter 6, God says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord." In other words, the theology is God gets to decide. We get verse number 4 wrong, we get everything else wrong. God is saying, listen, I designed these things. I know how they work. I know what needs to be done. And I am going to require that you do it the way I designed. And that is that parents are responsible for their children's education, not the government. And so, what President Trump has advocated and absolutely has been right is that the government has hijacked God's design again and has assumed that it's their responsibility to decide how they create a worldview for children. And their worldview is excessively self-centered and secular humanistic. And God said, no, parents' responsibility is to teach your children to be God-centered and God-dependent. And so he says, "And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently to thy children. Talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up." Obviously, he's talking about the educating of children. Yes, he's talking about educating them about God. Yes, teaching them about God's programs, telling them the stories of God's greatness and his power. But it's actually just telling children how God designed life to work and to exalt God in how they function within this life. The secular humanistic world that has dominated our educational system has taught something absolutely opposite to what God designed and has taught them a worldview that is secular, but more important, it is satanic. In other words, Genesis chapter 3, we see the introduction of secular humanism, and Satan said to Eve, "You will be like God." And man has had this penchant in sinfulness ever since to want to decide, to be the one who can change what God has designed, change it into their own design, tweak it so it fits their preferences. Man is not at liberty to do that. It is a parent's responsibility to teach their children a right and accurate view of who God is and what it is he has designed and how it is to function. Uh, Parents can delegate that out, much like they do many other things. Very few parents today grow food in their garden to feed their family. It can still be done that way, and some do, but most of us delegate it to a grocery store or to a farmer's market, and they raise the crops, and we go and we purchase it from them. Now, we are still responsible for what we purchase. We're still stewards of how much we pay for what we purchase, and yet it's in bounds if you want to do it that way. Most parents are not able to doctor their own children or to care for their teeth. And so they delegate responsibility to doctors, nurses, health facilities in order to minister to their children. Now, they are still responsible to take them to the right place to get them good and appropriate care, but they can delegate out the details. And same thing with a dentist and taking care of their teeth. We can do the same thing with education. And so some parents will delegate out the responsibility, the details of teaching their children. And that's perfectly okay. You are still responsible, not the people that you delegate it to. Now they're going to be responsible for what you want them to do or what you're expecting them to do. But if they don't perform, you need to be the one who takes them to another place. So this idea that even though children are the responsibility of parents, parents don't have to do everything, but they can never relinquish the responsibility that God has given to them. And so they must be engaged. And those that they delegate the responsibility to must be teaching exactly what God designed them to be taught, and that they are reinforcing what you as a parent are teaching. All President Trump has said is that this department has overreached its lines and responsibility, and it has violated what God designed and how He designed it. So therefore, it needs to be done away with. It needs to be changed, and we thank God that He is able to change it. Sorry, I didn't know the lawnmowers were going to show up for the neighbor while I was doing this. But I think it's a great decision. The Supreme Court once again says our founders and our framers in our Constitution upheld what God designed, and everyone is responsible to live within those parameters. God bless you. I hope you have a great day. I'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.